Hello, hello! Hello, everybody! I am Alear. This is Jigglypuff. Today is Tactical Tuesday! Woo! And we are talking about Fire Emblem Engage. I have so much to talk about. But before all of those other games, actually, I started getting into Fire Emblem Three Houses. Everyone loves Three Houses, and so I decided to give it a chance. And actually, a couple of my early streams involved Fire Emblem Three Houses. But yeah, it kind of fell short. I was losing interest real quick. I started playing Fire Emblem Engage this past weekend, even though I wasn't really crazy about Three Houses, and I fell in love with it. I've been playing it. I'm probably about 15 hours into the game now, and I thought to myself, maybe I didn't give Three Houses a try. I fell in love with Fire Emblem Engage, and I'm giving Three Houses another try, and we're gonna see how it is. Let's see if it changes my mind. Oh, right, or of course. And I always thought like the options were so too similar. What would even be the difference between choosing both? Either. A lot of decisions, man, a lot.
I'm sorry I dragged you into this.
Like, just pepper that. Just pepper it, okay? Give me a couple of decisions here.
Dame Cloth is the captain. I'd love for you to see the monastery too. You will join me, won't you?
It seems your presence is required. Get going.
And your father? That would be Gerald, the Bladebreaker? You haven't heard of the Knights of Saros?
I should mention that the three of us are students of the Officers Academy.
Ah, so that's what you were thinking, Claude.
I mean, it's very well written, like grammatically at least. Like, they all sound very smart and intellectual, but it's very boring dialogue. Early on, the player needs to have more things to do, in my opinion, instead of just watching with the storyline and the dialogue. Yeah, so you only had a certain amount of days to do an exploration, so I always felt rushed, and I didn't really quite like the feeling of that. So at least now with Engage, you can pretty much explore for as long as you want to. So my verdict is I'm never gonna finish Three Houses. In a nutshell, I just didn't like the decision basedness of Three Houses. I didn't like the school setting. I thought like just traveling around a monastery was just kind of boring, and I just didn't like it just being about like teachers and students. It just wasn't my cup of tea. It was much easier for me to fall in love with Engage rather than Three Houses. Three Houses, I felt like I really needed to sit down and give it a chance, right? So I did a list of certain things, specifically why yours truly, Alear, personally loves Fire Emblem Engage. So some of these features, and we're going to go over them, because again, these are, now that I think about it, most of these are actually just exploration specific. But one thing that I actually didn't mention, well, actually I did mention earlier, one of the things that I really like about this game is the pacing. The pacing of the storyline. You get a certain amount, you get a good amount of dialogue, you got a good amount of them narrating a storyline, and then you get a good amount of exploration, and you get a good amount of battles. But the fishing and then like the tea parties and stuff like that's not my jam. That's not my jam. So for example, in this game, you can adopt animals, and I'll show that to you as well. You go to certain places, you can adopt certain animals, and you collect them all. You collect them, if you will, right? I know it seems pretty asinine that this is something I love, but I think it goes back to what Riviette was asking earlier in the stream, and he asked me, do I have any pets? No, I don't, so I have to live vicariously through video games. You also have a specific pet. A specific pet, which you'll see here. His name is Sami. Sami. Him right here. You take care of him. And again, I know that sounds really asinine, but I really love it. I came from the era that raised Tamagotchis, so it's the same fucking shit, except this guy is even cuter than a Tamagotchi. Another thing is a training yard. I'll show you guys in a minute. Arena also. These are all just pretty much like stat boosters, but I think the way that the gameplay makes it like just funner. Another thing is the exploration of so you have a main hub. So in Three Houses, you have the main hub, you have the monastery. You basically, these are places where you do things outside of the battle. It's the same in this game, but it's called the Somnial. And the reason why I like it, other than just the gameplay or the side games, is just the way that it looks. Like, you're doing the exploration phase in 3 houses, and it's drab, brown, brick, wood. That's it. It's a boring school. It's a boring looking school. And when you're walking around and exploring, it's not as fun as when you're like traveling through here. And then also I mentioned earlier, good story and gameplay pacing, and then also no crucial decision making. I think when it came down to it, after I tried to give 3 houses a second chance yesterday, I basically was able to put my finger on exactly why I didn't like 3 houses. And again, in a nutshell, I think it's because I don't like the crucial decision making of the game. And it seems that they had eliminated this pretty much in this game. So like I said, in a nutshell, those were pretty much the reason why I prefer Fire Emblem Engage over 3 houses. Basically, you know, for those features and plus just the pacing of the game and the storyline as well. So thank you again for joining me. I'm Allie Puff. This is Jigglypuff. Like I say in every stream, stay tough, stay puff, guys. Good night.